with minimum skills and efforts by using ready-made seasonings, for example. For media companies, maybe cooking programs can be the next trend. During stay-at-home, consumers have also found new means to shop for groceries for both fresh and dry goods. Although the majority will go back to their usual shopping habits, about 10% of shoppers may not. So this is a space to look out for. If you are an offline retailers, you may need to develop home delivery mechanisms to keep these customers. On the other hand, if you are an online grocery store, this is a golden opportunity to start building a strong and loyal customer base. We also ask consumers about when they will be ready to do different kinds of activities post-PSBB. And not surprisingly, the first priority is to be able to visit family and friends and also attend religious services. In July, they are willing to attend live events and even visiting malls. Starting August, they are quite confident to do domestic travel and watching cinema. In Q4, even international travel or attending concerts may be considered. Talking about shopping behavior, we also did a specific survey among regular mall goers in Jakarta about their visit during PSBB and after. Apparently, about half still visited the malls during PSBB, but only to buy essential items like grocery shopping, and also to buy medications from pharmacies. Once PSBB was lifted, 67% intend to go, and up to 84% will go during the new normal, provided that the shopping malls put in place proper procedures to ensure visitors' health and safety. The other 16% who are not yet convinced to go back, it's because is driven by food, beverage, and also cinema. But after the pandemic, mall visit is driven by grocery shopping and lighter leisure activities just for refreshing, looking, going outside the house, and also buying snacks that don't require dine-in. So although most F&B outlets can do takeaways, but it will be a challenge for an all-you-can-eat type of establishments. Mall goers also expect some modifications from the management, such as providing free space for walking to allow for sufficient physical distance. If there is a live music or entertainment, the seating needs to be arranged in such a way to provide sufficient distance to each other. And for those who wish to enter a store or dine in, they also wish to have a signage outside the shop that shows store capacity and provide sufficient and comfortable space for queuing. For many Indonesians, after staying home for almost 3 months, the urge to be out there, to feel normal, is really real. Like what you can see in these pictures, which are self-explanatory. However, the question is whether that urge will be accompanied by the newly adopted habits of regular washing hands, consuming healthy foods, using hand sanitizers, consuming vitamins, and so on. So from here, I will hand this back to Mila to do a quick poll.
Thank you, Mila, and thank you, Helen, for the brilliant insight about Indonesian lifestyle and what people would like to do post COVID-19. It was actually interesting looking at the poll result. Well, if I had to fill the poll questions, maybe my answer would not be there, as one of my thing nowadays would be shopping groceries online. Anyway, now I hope all of you are excited to hear what I am going to share in the next section about consumption changes, as the majority of countries worldwide are now worse. So there are changes in consumer behavior that we expect to see. Especially, a lot of people have adjusted themselves with different ways of working, learning, shopping, and other aspects in living their lives during restriction for the past 3 months. These adjustments obviously have changed some or maybe a lot of their behavior. And the question would be, are the changes only temporary during restriction, or will it sustain until after restriction for some more time before going back to previous normal? Or will the changes be permanent and become the new future? Now, we identify 6 major areas of change that will impact consumption dynamics. Some may accelerate, some will be based on changing dependencies, some will require recalibrations from manufacturers, marketers, and retailers. We also conclude that technology is a catalyst in all these consumption changes and will continue to influence consumers into the future. Now, let's look at how Indonesian consumers have been experiencing this consumption dynamics in the COVID-19 situation. For us to be able to set foot in the right direction for our business. First, wallet adjustment. Consumers who are experiencing income compression will adjust their spending allocation. Tertiary needs, such as holiday travels and entertainment, were the first ones to cut. In the initial rebound stage, consumers may be able to add back some discretionary spend on fashion, entertainment, although out-of-home consumption is likely to remain subdued due to the new health and safety standards applied. Other discretionary areas like travel and savings will be impacted and become compromised across the time horizons. From our consumer panel data, we have picked up some early measures across socio-economic classes where we see a 7% decline year on year in terms of average family spending during COVID situation. Now, let's review the consumers further into different socio-economic classes and different spending allocations in their household. Is everything declining? Or is there any expenses having an increase because of the circumstance? Some expenses turned out to be higher compared to before COVID-19 situation. Upper and middle SES, as we see here, spend more on daily basic necessities or the FMCG as they prepare meals more frequently at home, they fulfill their family health and hygiene well-being. However, FMCG only contributes around 10 to 12% of family expenses, as there are other bigger expenses where household must allocate their income, obviously, such as fresh food and staples, saving and loans, and leisure. Now, the reason why family spending is decreasing actually driven by leisures, as people cut down their spending on dining out, recreation, and entertainment, as well as fashion. The spending decline in leisure happens consistently across all SES, with upper SES contributing the most to the decline, considering these upper SES are the ones who usually have higher spending compared to the other SES on leisure. Now, this decline in leisure for upper is actually the key expenses that driving down the household spending for upper SES. If you see the red arrow, their home cooking and visit malls to eat at restaurants. However, this will be temporary as income pressures are still there and not likely to be recovered soon. There are also consumers who continue with their new default to at-home living, eating and entertaining for months to come. Some other consumers who are constrained spenders will rebalance their FMCG basket to afford the basic daily necessities, or even reliant on government social aid for supporting their lives, as we know, bansos from the government. Now, from our weekly home panel data, we identified differences happening between upper, middle, and lower SES. If we look at before COVID and during COVID situation in Indonesia, upper SES is the one who increased spending on FMCG across all groups of categories, maybe except only beauty categories. While middle, they are more selective on spending for FMCG as they cover mostly the basics and add few categories related to COVID-19, such as over-the-counter pharmaceutical or health-related products. As for lower, they are experiencing more pressures and can only afford the basics or even downgrade to cheaper options. But a common theme here can be concluded from this data where cooking aid, dairy products, and over-the-counter pharmaceutical products are now filling up the consumer's FMCG basket more than the other categories. With almost 4 months now surrounded by news and unfortunate events around COVID-19, Indonesia consumers are now adopting health standards into daily lives, and this will remain an important consideration in the future. Brands who are able to reposition themselves based on the new values around health will be likely to succeed as they demonstrate empathy and care for consumers. Products with greater relevance to health and hygiene for consumers will also be prioritized more than ever. An indication for Indonesia that we can conclude from our retail audit data during COVID-19 in the next slide. Categories closely related to the pandemic had good growth, both pre-COVID and during COVID-19, like vitamin and cleaning products. However, sometimes price have been an issue to these categories due to hoarders. If manufacturers and retailers can control these issues, these products can be in more regular demand. Some categories with health well-being and family hygiene features are also expected to maintain good growth moving forward after the pandemic, such as dairy products, liquid milk, and powder milk. This is mostly driven because of children consuming these products at home. And then basic personal hygiene like toilet soap and shampoo. With the new normal, consumers will use toilet soap not only for showers, obviously, but also to wash hands more often at home. Cooking aid will also continue to look positive moving forward.
kemarin Bapak ingat? Hah? Bapak udah? Itu tulang kamu ya? Aku kasihin ya sekalian.